Today we are joined by John Rosso, amazing Sandler trainer, dear friend, and mentor to yours truly from Charleston, South Carolina. Hey, John, what nationality are you?
Italian.
Oh man, see, I'm Persian, but I think I could become a little Italian. Nema, Semnani.
You can dare to dream.
Okay, fair enough. John, I know in conversations that we've had, the idea of a pivot has come up quite a bit. So from your perspective, when you're speaking to your clients and people in your network, what does the word pivot mean as it pertains to sales in this environment?
Yeah, pivot is a great word. People are hopping on that word pivot, and we do need to pivot. I think pivot means, how do you take a look at your new reality and what changes do you make so that you're heading in the right direction and you come out of this crisis stronger? And I think it matters whether or not you're talking to existing clients, customers, or whether or not you're prospecting for new. I think you've got to rethink. Things have changed. You can't do the same behaviors of face-to-face meetings and conferences and networking. So you've got to pivot and put together a new activity-based success plan that will get you out on the other side of this stronger even than you went in.
Yeah, so I think it's people right now that I'm speaking to, some are having a hard time with that. Sometimes they don't know where to begin, and maybe they don't know the behaviors to modify and the techniques to implement during this transition period.
Yeah, so certainly some people have what we would call head trash, right? The old Mark Twain saying, "It's not what you don't know that hurts you; it's what you know for sure that just ain't so." I ask people, is it easier to bond or harder to bond today? Half the people say harder, which I think is crazy because I say easier. The other half say easier because we've got a common shared experience. We've got common pains now. So it really is a matter about what we need to think, feel, and believe to do better. And we've got to understand that we can't be tone deaf. You've heard us use those kinds of words. So you can't just do your old prospecting shtick. I mean, what's happening now is words like, Nema, I'm reaching out to you from a place of support. I understand some folks are hunkered down and single-mindedly focused with keeping the ship afloat. Others are open to connecting and brainstorming how people in their industry are pivoting and doing the right things now to come out of this stronger. Are you open-minded to connecting? Having a brief brainstorming session, 15 minutes, is a really nice way to kind of prospect by email, by LinkedIn, by message, even by phone. It's a kind of interesting way to be not tone deaf and pivot to the reality of what's changing now.
Yeah, I love that talk track. It's so authentic and it's genuine because I know for a fact that you really mean it, and it's coming from a place of compassion in a way.
Sure.
It's if I'm here to help. If I can, I will, and if I can't, that's okay too. No judgment either way.
Yeah, you bet.
So I'm curious. What are some other techniques, maybe even to add some more predictability during an otherwise unpredictable time?
Yeah, sure. So some of the Sandler devotees know something called an upfront contract. To simplify it, it's really learning to set good verbal ground rules about what happens during a meeting in a couple of key areas, including the agenda, including the outcome. And some of the things we'll hear about today is people are pushing things off. They're waiting till normal returns. And one of the things we shared for folks to be able to say in their upfront contract and setting the agendas early are things like this. Nema, if for whatever reason it doesn't make sense to move forward here, and that could be for any number of reasons, timing, budgets, waiting for new normal to return, it's 100% okay to say that. No harm, no foul, completely understand. Make sense? Sure. On the other hand, if we have a good conversation today, it's clear there's opportunity. Let's spend a little bit of time to talk through what that opportunity looks like. It typically means one of two things. Yes, I want to move forward, but I can't do it now. I've got to wait till normal returns. And if that happens, we'll take out our calendars and we'll schedule some time so that we can get the things done now that we need to get done so that when normal hits, we can hit the ground running. Or maybe it's timely enough that it really makes sense to immediately implement. And then you and I can begin to put the next steps in place and sort of figure out what that looks like together. Make some sense? So what I'm doing there is helping folks understand the pivot, in your words, that let's take that biggest objection away from them. We know what they're going to say, perhaps. And so let's bring it on back. if that makes sense, by sharing that. A next step, even if it's the new normal, is to take out our calendars and decide to put some time on the calendar now to take the steps necessary and do the things we can do now so that when normal returns, we're sort of ready.
If you were to give one behavior, one attitude, and one technique for sales leaders and salespeople around the world to embody during this time, what would those be?
Yeah, so the attitude for me, the belief would be you are the cure. Depending upon, I mean, if you're a commercial roofing, you've got the cure for the cancer of, leaking and re-roofs and bad quality work. You're the cure. And it is our moral and ethical responsibility to reach out there and be an ever-present help in times of trouble for our clients. In times like these, people don't always remember what you say, but they almost always remember how you made them feel. And so we need to be there. We need to keep this world moving. From a behavior standpoint, I think the behavior is really beginning to think in shorter pieces of time. Think about a day or a week and think through today. Who will I reach to? Who will I reach out to in my account base that's a keep? Meaning they're current good accounts. There's not a lot of new opportunity, but who will I reach out to and how? Who will I reach out to in the attain, the recapture, the expand quadrants? Sandler's got that nice model called care. And the behavior to be able to take out your care tool the day before and really think specifically who and how and why you'll be reaching out to the people in those four quadrants: keep, attain, recapture, expand, is a great, great, great behavior. And then from a technique point, again, I think it goes back to belief. It goes back to being authentic and really, really wanting to help and not being offended, right? Again, if I had that cure to cancer, if we had that cure for sales, if we had the cure for COVID, and somebody said, listen, I appreciate you calling. I don't have any interest. I don't have COVID. We're not offended. If we're smart, we would say, hey, listen, good for you. No worries. But I'll tell you what, you know what we do? We've got a cure for COVID. Anybody in your world, your network, who you know that it makes sense for me to reach out, you would say that naturally because you want to help, right? And so I think that belief leading to that authenticity gives you conviction. And if you feel it, then you can say it gently.
John, thanks so much, man. This is awesome. As always, it's always a joy to talk to you. Sandler, worldwide shout-outs. We are bringing to you legendary Sandler trainers from around the world, sharing their best practices, their behaviors, their attitudes, and their techniques. So I hope you learned something today about a behavior, attitude, and technique you can apply to your sales world, hopefully starting right this moment. Happy selling. Good luck. John,
My hair's white.
Do you want to borrow some of this over here?
Yes. Shave it out, put it on top of my head.